Hi, welcome to the Comfy Red Couch. My name is Tracy and I am your host. Today I have a sleepy little co-host beside me, Scout, and I'm not sure how long she'll stay, but she's here for at least a little bit. So welcome to the Comfy Red Couch. As I said, my name is Tracy. I am coming to you from Toronto, where a moment ago it was gray. Right now it is sunny. Yesterday we had tornado warnings. The weather here is crazy. It's very, very warm, but I've shut the windows because I didn't want to have too much noise coming from outside in. So I might be like sweltering soon, but we'll see how that goes. I am Tracy RR on Ravelry. I am Comfy Red Couch on Instagram. So feel free to drop me a line on either if you feel the need. And I think I'm ready to start episode 12 of the Comfy Red Couch. So a huge welcome back to returning viewers. I appreciate you spending time with me each week, and a hearty welcome to anyone who's new to the podcast. I hope that you enjoy what you're about to see. Today I have some material to show. I have a little bit of yarn. My yarn hauls have just been way too much recently, so I'm glad it's not too much. I have some new tea to share, and I guess we'll see what else comes out of today's episode. So it's time to get started, and moving on to It's a Softness. And It's a Softness, I have... It's not It's a Softness time, it's Material Girl time. The fairies have taken my brain, and I don't know what they've done with them. All my brains in my head have been taken over by fairies, and I have no idea what's going on. They're just, like playing with my mind. I mean, they're making me do really silly things. So, Fairy Scout fairies. So it is now time for Material Girl. And in Material Girl this week, I was busy. I washed my polka dot material, so I'm going to make a green polka dot dress, which I'm going to call Not a Real Green Dress. And so I washed my green polka dot material. I washed the binding tape that I'm going to be making, which is sort of like a champagne color, and it's all ironed up as well. And the next step is to lay it out and cut it out. And we'll see how that goes. I'm hoping to get that done sometime this week because I'd like to start getting that sewn up so that I can wear it at the end of June to a special event. And yesterday was a busy day for material shopping. I went out to visit my family out in Bowmanville, and on the way there were a couple of fabric stores that I wanted to stop at. And the first one was one I talked about way back when, and I'll show that right at the very end because it's really pretty. And I also stopped at Fabricland because I have a discount card, and I wanted to see if I could find some material to make the plantain shirt that I showed on last week's podcast. So I did find some. It's not t-shirt material. It is a knit, but it's got a little bit more of it's almost like a yoga pant type of material, so it's got a little bit more nylon or fake stuff in it. So this is the blue, green, white material, little pops of black in there as well, that I will be using to make the plantain shirt. And the plantain pattern was a free PDF download from Deer and Doe, and I am going to print that up and make a t-shirt. So just a very simple one, but I wanted to see whether I liked working from the PDF patterns or whether I'd prefer to buy patterns. So great opportunity to try that out. So this is my material for it. I haven't worked with this type of stretchy material in a while, so it will be a challenge for sure, but it is not next on the docket anyway. That is, as I said, the green polka dot dress. So, but I did pick this up. And the other thing, while I was there, I found some lovely blue polka dot material. And when I was getting it cut, the woman said, "Oh, it's almost reversible." So this is the wrong side, and the right side is of course trapped in here. My gosh, it's trapped in here. The wrong side is just that little bit darker. So navy, polka dots, and you can see the wrong sides. Most of this is the wrong side, and then there's just this little tiny bit of the right side. So I'm going to do one of the Vintage Vogue patterns in this. So I was able to get about 5 meters of this material, and it was great because it was 50% off. So fantastic savings, and I'll have a lovely, and it's got a really great drape to it, sort of like a crepey material, and so it's got a bit of a texture. I don't know whether it can be seen on here, but it's got like a little bit of a texture to it, and blue polka dot material is always classic, so especially navy. I love navy and polka dots. So so that's what I picked up yesterday as well. Let's see, a couple months ago, Mother's Day probably, so not even a couple months ago, a month ago, Mother's Day? Maybe. I went out to visit my parents and found this really neat fabric shop that had this lovely material. And when I went to purchase it, the debit machine was broken and I did not have enough cash on me to buy the amount of fabric that I wanted. So I went back yesterday and purchased my Canadian maple tartan. And so this is just a polyester, but I'm going to make a dress for the fall in it, and I just thought it was beautiful, and it'll be very easy to care for because it is polyester, but just a lovely material, and I took the rest off the bolts, so it's not quite 5 meters, but very, very close, and so I'm not sure which dress I'm going to make yet. I will figure that out as time goes. So nice fabric shopping day yesterday, and yeah, I love this one. This one made me really, it was just on my brain for weeks and weeks and weeks, and so I was very, very happy when I went to get it yesterday. It was kind of funny because I had everybody in the car while I ran into the store. I knew exactly what I wanted. I knew exactly how much I wanted. And so we pulled into the parking lot. I left everybody in the car. I opened the windows because it's very hot, and said, I'll just be a couple minutes. And I went in and I grabbed what I thought was the bolt, and it was same sort of colors, more browny though. So I think this is the Canadian maple, and the other one's another Canadian tartan. And it was a flannel type of material, like a pajama material, and I thought, it doesn't feel the same. There's something wrong. And then I realized I had the wrong one because, but I was just so quick to grab it. So I'm glad I didn't get that cut because that was not what I was wanting to make a dress out of. It was this one here. So super happy about getting this. And for now, it will go in the stash, and this will be for I'd like to try and get it made in August so that I have it to go back in September, and a nice dress for work. And that is what I have to share for Material Girl this week. So some nice stuff for a bit, and hopefully next week I'll have some actual progress on my green polka dot dress that I can show you as well. For It's a Softness this week, I have a little bit of progress, not a lot, but in my yellow La Bien-Aimée bag, I have my Beauty and the Beast socks, and I've named them Chapter 3. And so last week, I haven't made any progress since last week on my La Bête sock. I got it to the end of the heel flap, and I still need to turn the heel. So exact same spot as I was last week. However, I'm at the same spot now on my La Belle sock. So time to do some math and figure out how to do the heel turn. I have to figure out which heel turn I want to do and then do the math involved with it. So not a hard job, but lots of fairies have been getting in my head and playing games, and I don't want to do this more than once. Well, I'll have to do it more than... Are you going somewhere? Okay, see you later. Okay, obviously I have to do it more than once because I've got 2 socks, but want to do the math? figure it out, do it once, do it twice, have it done. So, so these are my Beauty and the Beast socks. As I said, I've named them Chapter 3, and hopefully next week I'll have either a hoe or even better, a faux to show you. So we shall see. I did notice, I think it was Thursday, that Little Skein and the Big Wool had a re-release of this yarn and the kits. But basically, I think the moment it was released, the yarn was gone. The kits were still there later in the day, but I just checked, and yarn and kits are now gone. But you never know, they might come back again. Mustache Yarns also has some Lord of the Rings this week themed yarn. So if you like Lord of the Rings and you're liking the look of this Mustache Yarns, or Mustache Yarn, definitely check out mustache.com, and you can see what they've got up there. And then I think the week after is going to be Somewhere Over the Rainbow theme. So I'm looking forward to seeing what those are. So anyway, so that's It's a Softness this week, and trying not to poke my eyes out with my needles. And hopefully next week we'll see a little bit more progress. But it's been a busy week here on the comfy red couch, and more so off the comfy red couch. I think I haven't had as much comfy red couch time as I would like. So anyway, that is It's a Softness. So that now means it is time to move on to my favorite things. And in my favorite things, I have something I can't show you, but what I can show you is the yarn that I have chosen. So I am doing, this is the Shawl Society 3, and I'm not sure when the release date is. I think it might actually be in early July. So, but I don't know the exact date. Anyway, so, but I still have quite a bit to do. And I spent this week on knitting again. The fairies from the last shawl are still playing with my brain and not allowing me to just seriously knit without making mistakes. And I made like a really stupid mistake. It was, I read one of the lines wrong, and it was a line that was to be repeated, and so I did about this much wrong and put it away for a few days because I had lots going on with my course and everything. And when I went to pick it up, I looked back and I realized, oh my gosh, I've done this much wrong. So here's the dilemma. Do you then tink back so that you're not having to undo everything you've done? Tinking back that much is a lot. Or do you just rip the whole thing out? So I started off just thinking, I'm just going to tink back. And then I had a little bit of a yarn break. Yeah. So I just pulled the whole thing out, started again. I corrected the mistake. And what a huge difference it makes. The pattern looks really, really beautiful. Imagine following the pattern. It looks beautiful. Anyway, so it is back on track. It is looking fantastic. I am loving the colors that I have chosen and how they're combining. And Helen has released yarn information. I'm not using the same yarn that Helen is. I'm doing a fingering weight version. So her version is a heavier weight. So there are some modifications that I am doing to make it fit the fingering weight version. And I'll let Helen know that so that she can include anything that she'd like to in the pattern. So I'm going to show you, now that Scout's gone, I'm going to show you the yarn that I will be using. And I did say last week I had shown it at some point on the podcast. And I am using Viola yarn, big surprise. And I am using the navy. This is Midnight. I am using this Eclipse colorway, and I am using River Rock. So these two I picked up at the Viola Emily's talk about Viola yarns at the Knitters Guild. So I picked this one up, and this had originally been with them. And then I put this one down and grabbed the other purple instead. And then afterwards I messaged Emily and said, oh my gosh, I put the blue down. So I did get these with my update yarn that came a couple of weeks ago, and I decided to pair these three rather than the purple. And so far, I'm just using these ones so far. I am loving how they're knitting up together. They just look really, really beautiful. And there's little pops of blue that I think once this is introduced will just play off so nicely. So I did get 2 skeins of each because I am doing a fingering weight version, and I'm not sure if I'm going to need 6 skeins or 3, and I will let Helen know that once I've completed it so that she can let people know yardage. And you can also check out my project page once I'm done to see how many skeins I used if you are deciding between the, I think it's a sport weight that she's doing, or a fingering weight version. I'm using different size needles, and but that information will all be released when the time comes. But in the meantime, this is the yarn I am using, and I am thrilled with it. And my project name is Viola. That's just Viola. But there's a little bit of a twist to it. So where the O is, I'm trying to figure out how to add an emoticon. So it's Viola with an emoticon where in the middle of Viola. So because I love my Viola yarn. It's so beautiful and so squishy and lovely, and who doesn't love Viola? And a project should be named Viola just for this yarn alone. So anyway, that is what I am working on for my favorite things. And yesterday when I was at my mom's, I went digging through her cedar chest and found one of the first projects. I don't know if it's actually the first project I ever did, first finished object, but it was a sweater that I made for my sister when she was born, and it's yellow and green, and I put a photograph up on Instagram. But yeah, I dug through. You know, the funny thing is I don't ever remember her wearing it. She must have, because when I looked at the sweater, it looks like it's all sort of pilled, and so it must have been worn, but not my best work. But for when I was 16 years old, that was pretty good. But and it was yellow and green, so kind of cute. But so my favorite things this week. So this week the mailman brought me a couple of lovely goodies that I'm excited to share. And one of those goodies was from Jane of Hedgerow Fibers. And if you've checked in with me before, you know I love packages from Jane because they are beautifully packaged. They are loveliness, and makes you feel so special when you get a package from Jane. So this one is called Zing. It just zinged up here. And so beautiful yellows, greens, aquas, blues, turquoise, all those lovely colors all melded into one. And this is the merino sock. So it's an 80% merino, 20% nylon. I love my merino. And so just a lovely grouping of colors. So I'm excited to knit that up. And I'm thinking I actually would like to make a shawl out of this one, just a 1 skein wonder shawl. And just I think it'd be fun to see all the colors play up in something with eyelets. I'll figure that one out. So that was one of the things that came in the mail that made me happy this week. And the other thing from Jane was this one, and this is a one-of-a-kind, so it doesn't have a name other than one-of-a-kind colorway, and it too is the merino nylon sock, so 80-20 blend, and the lovely little clothes peg, and just such a cute little stitch marker this time, a little rose. So I was really happy with that one. And what grabbed me with this skein when I saw it on the camera was just this little section of pink and coral, and then there was also a little section of aqua down here. So when I was looking at the photographs and trying to figure out which one wanted to come into my cart, this one just sang to me, pick me, pick me. And of course, because you don't want to have this one go along for the ride alone, I like this one too, so they are little travel mates. So these two arrived in the mail for me, and was super happy to open that. Thursday had been a bit of a challenging day, so when I came home and found this yarn, I was super happy to open it, and made me feel really special. So I think that was Thursday that I got that. So the days all just blend. And also this week in the mail, I got a lovely package from Sarah of Cauldron of Colors. And Sarah's yarns are just so fun, and the colors are wonderful. And this one had been in the shop for a couple of weeks, and I had my eye on it, and I just kept holding off because I'd just been buying too much yarn. Can one ever have too much yarn? No, was the thing that finally got me. And so I had purchased this lovely Gabriel, and this is a 50-50 silk camel blend, and it is 400 yards, no, 400 meters, so even better than 400 yards. 400 meters of absolute gorgeous color and gorgeous feel and just absolute gorgeousness. So I was amazed that this even stayed in the shop as long as it did, because silk camel is wonderful to work with, and of course with all of Sarah's yarns, you get the cute little witch stitch marker, and this camel silk blend is amazing to work with. I've only used it in lace weight before, so I'm excited to try it in a fingering weight. And I think that was part of what I decided, just bite the bullet and buy this, because it was just, look at those lovely colors. So, and just as an aside, last week I had the draw for the Invictus by Cauldron of Colors, and so I'm just finally pulling some last minute things together in those packages, because I wanted to add a little bit more to the prize winners things. And so yesterday I went to Laura Secord, which is a candy store in Canada, and they have these little Canadian maple leaf maple candies, so I wanted to get some of these for each of the prize winners. So I didn't have a chance earlier in the week to go to the place that sells them, so something going on outside that was distracting me. Anyway, so I went yesterday to pick up some maple candies, and I've already put them in the packages. There was one other thing I was looking for, and I went to 4 stores and couldn't find it, so unfortunately the packages will have to go without them, but otherwise there's some lovely things in for the prize winners, and I'm hoping to get that in the mail tomorrow, which is Monday, and hopefully they will get their packages in the next couple of weeks. So Christine, Deb, and Danny will be getting those soon, and I don't know whether they'll share what they got, but there's some fun little things that I've put in there for them. So anyway, those will get in the mail tomorrow, and they'll have some lovely little candies in there to brighten their day, and a little sweet for some sweets. And this week on Tea Time, I have my Tink mug, because I think there's a theme here that I spent a lot of my week unknitting my TSS3, and little fairies getting in my brain. So I think my Tink mug was definitely in order for today. So my lovely sister-in-law gave this to me for Christmas a couple of years ago. So, and what am I drinking, you ask? This week I bought a new tea. Not that I need a new tea, but I went to this store called, and I'm going to have to show you the name of it because it's kind of neat. So this is the store's name, Old's Cool. Put it together, Old School. And it's a convenience store that is in Toronto, not too far from where I work. We had to drive there though. But so one of my coworkers and I went Friday to Old School convenience store, because I was looking for these items to put in the packages to go out to the winners from last week. and they didn't have them. But they did have some tea there, and they had some other little fun things. So I picked up some black licorice and some ginger candies for my husband for our anniversary. And they had these really cute key rings. And I should grab mine. Hang on for 2 seconds while I go get it. And with the magic of editing, that was less than 2 seconds for you, more than 2 seconds for me. So in my little old school bag, I picked up a keychain for myself, and it's just a Scrabble piece with my name, my letter on it. And so I picked up one for Greg. I also picked up one for each of the boys. And so that was kind of a fun little thing there. And while I was there, they were playing like some old 80s music. So the Smiths was playing, and then Madonna's Borderline was playing. So I was having fun singing to Borderline. And yeah, so they had some really neat little old school type of convenience store things there. And so I decided to buy the Earl Grey cream, or cream of Earl Grey. Earl Grey cream, they call this one, but I always call it cream of Earl Grey. I digress. Anyway, so I decided that I was going to try this to see what I like, if I liked it. I normally like cream of Earl Grey. This one's okay. My favorite is Sloan Tea's cream of Earl Grey, but if you've never tried a cream of Earl Grey, it's sort of like the only way I can describe it is it's soft. Like it sort of has a nice soft flavor to it. And so I do like a cream of Earl Grey, and that is what I am drinking in my Tink mug this week. And that's all I have to share this week on Tea Time. Cheers. Okay, it's time to get serious. For those of you who have watched the podcast before, you may have heard me mention that I have a bit of an aversion to the color yellow. It's more than just an aversion. I really do not like knitting in yellow. And if I do a project that is all in yellow, by the end of it, I am ready to chew my arms off and rant at anybody who is in my path. Yellow. I can take yellow in small doses. It's not a horrible color. I mean, there are things that I do like in yellow. I mean, I have my La Bien-Aimée fringe bag is yellow. I love it. So why don't I like knitting in yellow? I'm not sure. There are beautiful colors of yellow out there. A couple of years ago, I knit a shawl for my mother-in-law in saffron yellow. And by the end of it, and if you look on my Ravelry page and find it, I think it's the Sunburst shawl, there's like a whole rant about knitting with yellow. Because at the end of that project, I was so glad to have that done. Small doses, yes. Big doses, no thank you. So last week, as I was showing off some of my yarn and my Nora George yarn, as I was looking at it, I realized I purchased the wrong blend of yellow. So all the other yarns are a BFL cashmere, and this one is BFL silk. And it was total error on my part that I put the wrong one in my box. And I'm just a little bit of a control freak where I've got 4 other skeins that are in the BFL cashmere, and this one being in the silk. This one has a bit more of a shine to it than the other ones. So luckily when I went back onto the Nora George website, there was another, I think it was the last one, of the BFL cashmere in yellow. So I picked it up, but now I have 2 yellows because I'm going to have the one that goes with all the other colors and will be a little hint. But what do you do when you have a whole skein of yellow and you don't really like working with yellow? Well, you go back onto the Nora George website and see what else is there. And thankfully there's a raspberry. So the raspberry goes really nicely with the yellow, and so I'm going to pair them, and then hopefully that will take away my frustration with knitting with yellow. But of all the ones to get wrong, it of course turns out to be yellow. So yeah, I don't know what it is. Yellow makes me go completely bonkers. I mean, you can probably tell I'm getting agitated just talking about yellow. In my Beauty and the Beast socks, I love that little tiny bit of yellow because it's a little tiny bit of yellow. This just scares me. A big 400 meters. Yes, 400 meters of yellow. So luckily I will be able to tone this down with a pink. But if you look through my stash, there are a few little skeins of yellow, but for the most part, not so much. And if I usually do buy yellow, it's because it's got a really great name to go with it. I do love daffodils, so that's probably why I purchased Daffodil from Nora George a little while back. I have a lovely one from Skein called Sunspot, and it's got little bits of black, so it takes away from the yellow. But yellow is not my go-to color, and it is definitely not my favorite color to knit with. And that's my true confession. For those of you who love yellow, all the power to you. For me, if I were to paint all the walls in my house yellow, I'd move out tomorrow. Not happening. Thank you for joining me on the comfy red couch this week. I hope that you had a nice chance to sit, relax, have a cup of tea, get some knitting done, or whatever crafting you like to do when you're watching podcasts. I hope that you have a wonderful week ahead. I am hoping to get at least one of my socks done, if not both. And I'm hoping to get a really good chunk done on my Shawl Society 3, as well as maybe get my fabric cut out on my Not a Green dress so that I can show you some stuff next week on Material Girl. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you coming and spending time with me, and I hope to see you next week on the comfy red couch. Bye. Usually I have an idea for an epilogue. This week, nothing. Not only have the fairies played tricks with my brain with my knitting, now they're playing tricks with my epilogues. What can you do?